10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a fast-paced recap of the 2022 Circle K NHRA 4-Wide Nationals from ZMAX Dragway in Charlotte, North Carolina, brought to you by Competition Plus. In Nitro Funny Car, 16-time world champion John the Brute Force will put on a dominating performance, qualifying number 1, setting low ET and top speed at over 335 miles per hour, en route to his 155th career national event win and first of the year. In Pro Stock Motorcycle, despite all the obstacles faced throughout the weekend, Steve Johnson from the number 2 qualifying position would reset the record books in eliminations, laying down a track record elapsed time at 6.712 seconds at over 201 miles per hour in the semifinals before snatching his second consecutive win of the year in the final round and taking the points lead heading into the next race in Richmond, Virginia. And finally, in Top Fuel Eliminator, Mike Salinas aboard the Pep Boys Scrappers Racing Top Fuel Dragster would pick up win number 2 in the year and 5th of his career, as he would survive a wild day in Top Fuel and move into second place in the points, just 17 points behind leader Brittany Force. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a special fast-paced recap of the 2022 Circle K NHRA 4-Wide Nationals from ZMAX Dragway in Charlotte, North Carolina, brought to you by Competition Plus.
Thank you, America. That's the greatest sponsor in the world.
Congratulations,
Woo!
Steve.
Chris, give me some love.
Sam, what a great weekend of drag racing from the Carolinas to Texas and beyond. And we get to talk about it right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Everybody, make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to Competition Plus TV there on YouTube. If you're watching there, if you're not, go there and watch, subscribe. All this brought to you by Weldon High Performance. Sam, you were there at the 4-Wide. What did you think
I was live.
about Do Not Call Me the GOAT, John Force, laying the smack down?
You must be reading my notes before the show starts or something, Lee, because I had that written down. Do not call me the GOAT. That needs to be a T-shirt. I'm telling you right now, I might make that a T-shirt and wear that to the races for the rest of the year. Do not call me the GOAT. Slammin' Sam isn't the GOAT. John said he's not the GOAT. Lee, man, how do I say this the correct way? What a slobber knocker, as they say in the dirt track world, we had this weekend in drag racing. I mean, across the board from NHRA to PDRA and everything else that we can yak it up about, a lot of things didn't go the way people thought they were going to go. I know Drag Racing Central right now is probably thinking, well, I said it. I'm gonna pick on him a little bit, as he tweeted me right after the first round of Top Fuel and said, is this not the best sport? I mean, is this not the best class? What are you speaking of? See, who was it? The Capco boys are out first round. And I'm like, man, like, this guy is giving it to me hard. But like I said, I didn't think that Top Fuel wasn't the top class. I just think that as of to this day, Pro Stock has been putting on a better performance. And I honestly think this weekend, if you're going to say that the top show is going to either go, my opinion, would go to Pro Stock Motorcycle or to Funny Car.
I think when it comes to, as you're putting it, and saying, hey, best show, I think it can go to one single individual, and that is Steve Johnson of Pro Stock Motorcycle. We'll have him on later, actually, tonight. But he single-handedly, whether controversy or through winning, he is keeping Pro Stock Motorcycle at the forefront. I have seen more articles this week this weekend on Pro Stock Motorcycle, whether for Steve or against Steve or whatever, but nonetheless of what he said and the performance that has kept people talking about Pro Stock Motorcycle. And it's good that that's happening. Pro Stock Motorcycle is such a great class.
Oh, I mean, I 100% agree. I think it's hilarious. Anybody that got to watch the press conference, after the race, or that was there and saw it. The fact that someone brought the broccoli up to the press conference, I mean, just shows that everyone is getting involved. Everyone is showing what they think and what they feel of Steve Johnson. And right now, I think there is some bad blood, and we can talk about that a little bit later, but it kind of reminds me of the Bruno, the burn down. How long did we talk about that last year? So, I mean, controversy does go on, but something I think we should talk about right now, Lee, and I think we should just clear the air. I want to know what you kind of think about it, what I think about it, is John Force saying, "Don't call me the GOAT." I see it down here. Deuces Wild already puts in John Force the GOAT. When we refer to someone as the GOAT, the greatest of all time, and he kind of alluded to it, that's saying it's over, and if you listen to his interviews at the top end, I turned around and listened to it on the Jumbotron standing next to Jason Logan there during the finals, and he said, this could possibly be the last one. You never know. And I mean, that's just he's being honest there. I think that's true emotion. You never know when you're going to win another wall. You never know when you're going to be able to make it to another final round. And he's thankful for all the times that he did. But then he goes back in the press conference and says, you know what? Don't call me the GOAT yet. And I respect that. That's saying, hey, give me my time. You know what I mean? And I know we've had people on here. We've had Erica. We've had Steve on here. We've had the Snake on, and we've called them the GOAT many of times. But to do that, to come out and just say, hey, don't call me the GOAT yet. Give me a little bit more time, I think is what he's trying to say there.
Yes, certainly. And the fact is, yes, we're not promised tomorrow, any of us. You never know when it might be the last one, even permanently. But he definitely is alluding to, hey, let me have my time. It seems like John is always put to the forefront that he's chasing Bernstein. He's chasing Perdome. He's chasing these other great names of the sport. And it's like, John, you've already surpassed them. They might have laid a groundwork and you were able to come behind them. And yes, you've accomplished that much more in the sport, in wins and records and number one qualifiers. But I will say, overall, the term GOAT is very strange. I don't know about you, but like you call something like, yo, Billy Goat, it's not very, very nice. It's derogatory. And we get it from, it's greatest of all time. It's very short, but nonetheless, it is strange that we call people GOAT.
But you got to, I get where you're coming from there, but in the sports world and, in an athlete's mind, the GOAT, you look at, like, for me, I'm a track and field athlete, that's what I did most of my life. Everyone still says they're chasing, Maurice Green or Michael Johnson. I mean, you do that in baseball, there's the Hank Aaron's and there's the GOATs of baseball. And for what what you said there, he may have surpassed, Don Perdome and the greats before him, but in his mind, he's still chasing them. He still wants that legacy. And I think that's what keeps it youthful about John. You can't tell me there's not a person out there. When John is talking, he turns around. You're going to turn around and listen to that interview. It's not like you're just going to blow it off. It's because it's high energy. And for someone still at that statue in his career to still be chasing and wanting to still chase, that just shows that he's hungry and he loves what he does. And someone that loves what they're doing, they're having fun all the time.
Right. Well, he has expressed it on this show. He's expressed it on other shows. He's expressed it multiple times. There's nothing else he wants to do. He just wants to go out there and drag race. And there was obviously a lot this weekend causing emotions to run. He alluded to a condition with his oldest daughter, whatever is going on there. So there's a lot on Force's mind, on his heart, and where he is and where the sport is going. Where is he going? And I think the struggles he's had, because it looked like in testing in Phoenix before the season kicked off, wow, hey, Force is going to be right in the thick of it. And we get into Sunday eliminations for these first several races of the season. It's kind of been man, where's John? And John shows up here at ZMAX Dragway. He's had a knack over the time that ZMAX Dragway has been in existence, this house that Bruton has built, to step up and get the job done, or at least perform better than the other events of the year at that track. And he did it again in John Force fashion, and Robert Height in the final as well, as you could see there. So a good day for John Force Racing on the funny car side of things.
Oh, yeah, and then in Top Fuel, I mean, you got to look at it. You got Steve Torrance, you know, the Capco boys going out first round. I mean, that's huge. And I want to take a second right now to say, yes, I'm not against Top Fuel for all you guys that think I am. I just, you know, I kind of got my favorite right now. But I am going to say this. To end that winning streak that they have down there at ZMAX, that's huge. Like, you got to feel good. And I was looking at the ladder Saturday night coming in Sunday morning, and, you know, everyone's talking about the rain, and now they're going to bump up the time a little bit. I think that everyone was trying to shoot their shot to get in, maybe make a consistent pass, but, you know, still put themselves in the front of their quad. But there was no quad in Top Fuel that was an easy late, you know, or a layup quad. No. I mean, you know, and so I just think all in all this weekend, honestly, the facility, I've never been to ZMAX. First time being there, the
it's
atmosphere.
Truly the Bellagio, is it not?
It is. And I can honestly say this, and as being a West Coast boy, you know, growing up West Coast, loving the West Coast track, shout outs to the East Coast. Like, drag racing, and I'm going to use a modern day term that the kids nowadays use. I can say the kids because I'm past 30, but it hits different. Drag racing on the East Coast hits different than the West Coast. And that's coming from a true West Coast born and raised kid. I need to get out to more East Coast tracks, man. It's just the atmosphere. I'm actually going to post this picture tomorrow. There's a guy that's got a coat. I mean, a long trench coat. Someone had to custom make this for him. And this guy has got patches from every race that he's been to. Like, you don't see that kind of stuff on the West Coast. You don't
older African American male denim trench coat.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
See, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I mean, from young kids to old kids, and just everyone there, and the way that they set it up. You walk in and you're seeing, you know, the camping world, like where we drove in for media. The camping world. I mean, you could buy a motorhome and go straight to the racetrack. I went out to eat. I went out to eat Saturday night, came back, and there was a full-on concert, like right in front of the main gate. There's I don't even know if there was a family or what, but there was a full-on concert, bonfire. It's like, I'm like, that's
actually, that concert happens each time they're there. It actually is facilitated and helped set up by Flying Ryan's guys.
Yeah, like unreal. I mean, you see that stuff sometimes, but I'm gonna put it on the map and just say East Coast. Yeah, you guys know how to put on a heck of a drag race. The facility, the atmosphere was electric, and everyone that was there, it didn't matter if your favorite driver went out first round, you still were out there talking to him. If your favorite driver, you know, didn't qualify or whatever it may be, everyone that was there was just happy to be there and happy to be racing, and that's what it's all about. And all in all, NHRA, the Safety Safari, everyone that's involved with it put on a show. And I mean, this is why we love drag racing.
It definitely earns and lives up to its title of the Bellagio of drag strips. And I would say Drag Racing Central says ZMAX should only have one race. Well,
no.
I agree that, yes, most facilities should only have one race. But when you look at the investment that was made by Speedway Corp and that track that is ZMAX, it's one of those tracks, and what has been invested and how it showcases drag racing, I'm completely fine with it having two events. And I think there's an argument of flipping what we have, the 4 wide in the fall and the 2 wide in the spring. There's an argument there, but No, it deserves having 2 events. There is no drag strip in the United States of America like it. The only one that I know that concerning niceness, if you will, is what has been built in Qatar by the sheiks out there. That's like the only one I ever hear anyone say that could come anywhere close. Especially in the United States of America, though, I will say, when it comes to comparing tracks, though, nothing really compares to ZMAX, but also there are other elements like, well, Norwalk. Norwalk is a track that no other track compares to, in my opinion, with its feel. But
I think there, Lee, though, each track has its different uniqueness. It has a different niche. And I mean, once you get over, I mean, like I said, I walked into a little bit of the tower, the press area, and I was blown away from what I saw. I got to drive around and see some of the NASCAR, area and facility. And I mean, when you have a facility like that where that it takes up that much space, and then you literally can turn 180, and there's a drag strip that has parking on either side. I mean, you cannot complain about parking there. I mean, for God's sakes, they have people driving golf carts giving you a ride, to the main gate.
Right.
I just, we could go, I could talk literally on and on about how things were set up and how it was, and then the tunnel, that is an experience if you haven't done that either. I went under when Funny Car qualifying was going on, and the feel of Funny Car on top of you, 4 of them on top of you flying by, that's breathtaking. And you're in a tunnel, and they're right over top of you. Unreal.
For sure. Well, you know who else is unreal? Our very own Bobby Bennett. We're going to let him come on right after this break, and he can share with us all the good, juicy inside information, maybe even give a little tidbit information on a article that dropped with Competition Plus concerning, one of the pro stock motorcycle riders. And we just had Bobby actually drop out from the green room, so we'll wait till he pops back in. But we will take a break and have him in just a moment. I don't have him in the green room.
Well, Lee, I was going to say something about the Top Fuel Harleys. I didn't make it to the pits, but I stood at the starting line way in the back when they were firing up. No. Crazy.
No.
Crazy. I was standing next to Dre, who works on Antron Brown's car, and I looked at Dre, and Dre looked at me, and he said, "Man, I would never get on one of those." And right after I said that, Alan Reinhardt goes, "Yeah, they have to wear a bulletproof Kevlar type vest." And Dre looks back at me, and I said, "Ain't happening. Not in this life. It just won't happen."
Well, yep. Hey, they're cool, though. Glad they're out there. And look, glad they were back at the national event as well. And whatever got worked out, and they were there at ZMAX. And hopefully we'll see them on down the road. We need to get on down the road, and we're going to bring Bobby Bennett on right after the break. Bobby Bennett,
the boss man.
Sam, let me clarify something here. You misused the term, or you didn't really understand it. A slobber knocker is what a tight end got when he crossed in front of me, being one of those hybrid safety linebackers, and I just come up projectile popping somebody. So that's what a slobber knocker is, because I knocked the slobber out fact, I hit one guy so hard it knocked the booger out of his nose. So
that's up close
but that
and
was
personal.
back when we had leather helmets. So anyway. All right, guys. Of course, it's not been hard to notice the performance of the Suzukis and the lackluster performance of the Buells, and there may be a reason for that. I've had some sources inside the pits tell me it all has to do with the fuel that they're running. The fuel that they're running, which is the I guess the Cyclone 17, the red Sunoco. There's the red and the yellow. Of course, it works excellent as if it was created for the Suzukis, and they're 14,000 RPM when they leave. Well, the Buells can't get that. They're about 10,000 RPM. I'd be afraid of a Buell that could rev to 14,000 because you might need those Kevlar jackets when you're when you're on them. And just so you'll know, the reason why they have to wear a Kevlar jacket was back in the 1990s when I was actually right before we created Competition Plus. I was the beat reporter for the NHRA for their Top Fuel Harley class, and I also wrote for a magazine called American Iron. And the guys, they were having a problem with the engine's hydraulicing, and it would actually come up through the frame, split the frame, and what's laying over the frame of a motorcycle? The chest. So at one time we had this picture of the late Jim McClure, one of the toughest, baddest son of a guns I ever seen. Him and Ray Price. I'd take them any day in a bar fight, fighting by my side. Because I've got a picture of Jim McClure, and this thing's hydraulicing, and he's holding on to the handlebars with his feet in the air. That's how hard it threw him up. And in some cases, it's thrown the rider off of the bike. So that's why you have the Kevlar thing. So let's look into the factory experimental. I understand that there was a meeting today with the manufacturers, the tech department, and the chassis builders. And I think this is the point where the factories are going to get more involved with the building of the body panels. Body panels has been a tough haul for these cars, and they may have carbon fiber, but these are going to be down to the measurement. Not going to make the same mistakes they made with Pro Stock. And let's talk about the GOAT. Sunday, the GOAT was doing what goats do, being a goat. And in case you might have heard or didn't hear, John Force got 3 more years with Castrol. There's a little tidbit that he said, I sure would like it to make it to 75. So if you're pulling tickets, a parlay card or whatever, I'd put 75 on Force. But then again, he could be out here like Chris Karamessini's and run till infinity. I guess that's what age he was when he quit, was infinity. But that's what I got going, guys. Any questions?
Now, Bobby, was it Castrol or was it in fact Peak, or did we step back into the 90s?
It was Peak.
Okay, great, good.
I had to think about it for a minute, yeah, but yeah, Peak has extended another 3 years on John Force's contract, which his birthday is tomorrow, May 4th. May the 4th be with Force. And then exactly 1 week later, me. I turned the old double nickel.
Well, very cool. Or happy
Don't
early
get
birthday
excited,
to
Sam.
Hey, you're never supposed to say anything. You're never supposed to say anything about someone's age, so you don't show emotion when someone says their age.
Dude, I want to tell you my age because I don't want y'all cutting me open to count the rings to see how old I am, like a tree. Whew, that one flew over the head.
So, Bobby, any particular interesting articles lately on Competition Plus? Always good, juicy information, but maybe a highlight or two of the top ones.
I'm glad you asked that, because Thomas Pope, who having him on our staff after retiring of 40 years with the Fayetteville Observer-Times, having him in our bullpen is like having Nolan Ryan. You guys do know who Nolan Ryan is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since I'm a Phillies fan, I'm Steve Carlton. So Darren Williams Jr., who's soon to be announced as the assistant editor of CompetitionPlus.com, was working in the middle of Nolan Ryan on one side and Steve Carlton on the other. So kid did good. The future of our sport's looking great with you guys and with Darren and with some of the other people. And the Top Fuel Harleys, we have a story on the front page about what they're going through. And one of the best ones, I'm telling you, this rivalry between Steve Johnson and the Smiths, that's already gone past rivalry. It's just flat out Hatfield and McCoy's feud right there.
Yes.
I mean, that I said, it's a rivalry, but honestly, the two just enjoy not liking each other. And that's fine. They don't have to like each other, but Steve was on everybody this past week. On everybody.
Yeah, I think Steve made a rivalry of the whole rest of the Pro Stock motorcycle field. I don't think anybody escaped, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you one thing. Our transcriptionist at Competition Plus said if she ever has to transcribe another Steve Johnson post race press conference, she'll quit. So I guess we're on our own there. I mean, she said, "You ever send me another one from him, I'll quit." I said, okay, never again. So yeah, I for the first time in a long time, the top two stories on race weekend were Pro Stock bikes. And Darren Williams Jr. Oh my God.
I love this.
I gotta ask you, Lee.
Darren, thank you. Thank you for some dirt finally on Bobby. Yes.
Dude, I wouldn't even open my mouth there if they knew what you were talking about. Lee, you're a Southerner, born and bred, I think. How do you eat your grits?
I ate mine completely plain, nothing in them.
Oh my
Butter.
God.
Butter.
I eat mine salt and butter. Salt and butter, everything that will clog your arteries, I put in there.
I don't need no salt, no butter, no sugar, just plain, straight.
Of course, Darren piped up and says, "Oh, you put sugar in it." I said, "Dude,
yeah,
putting sugar in your grits is like having an accordion in a hip hop music. It does not fit there. That's for cream of wheat." In fact, I tried to explain to him that the Civil War actually started over the Northerners screwing up grits and sweet tea. Because they found out that over on Fort Sumter, they were putting sugar on their grits and drinking their tea without sugar in it.
Man.
So all they did was started lobbing cannons over there, and that started the war. You didn't know that, did you?
Hey, people have gone to war over less.
Of course, my grandfather of many generations fought for the Union living in Tennessee, so that made him pretty popular anyway. And his brothers fought for the Confederacy. But then again, we found out Grandpa Sylvester had fathered 11 kids with 6 different women. So we were figuring he probably messed around with every Confederate soldier's wife, so he had to go over to the Union. So he didn't get killed.
Wow. Wow.
Old Grandpa Sylvester, boy, he was a sly one.
Bobby, we've got Rob Flynn waiting in the green room, and we're about time to go on to the next guest here. So I think you've been up enough today. We're going to let you go get some sleep, man.
Since 4 a.m., man, been going wide open. Got a lot of good old video content coming up this weekend, a lot of old IHRA stuff. Plus, we're putting the finishing touches on the first episode of a new series. So, sugar and grit, man. I'm gonna tell you, y'all can.
Bobby,
I gotta
Bobby.
go to bed.
I think what it is all that salt getting to you that you put in your grits, man. Butter or nothing.
I am a bit
I'm with
salty,
you,
aren't I?
Yeah, a bit salty.
Yeah. Bobby, take care, man.
Hey, y'all have a good show, man. Talk to you later.
Who would have known that conversation would have went that way?
Nobody knew. Nobody knew. I mean, this thing isn't scripted anyway, but that definitely was not scripted. Now, we're about to bring on Rob Flynn here in just a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. Winning crew chief with Mike Salinas over the past weekend there at the Circle K 4-Wide Nationals. A lot more to talk about from the event. We'll definitely do that on the back half of the show after we talk with Steve Johnson, our second guest tonight. Because Sam, we still need to talk about ProMod. We
don't want to dive into that, Lee.
What a wild final round that was.
Lee, we do not want to dive into that final round. Coming from the starting line, we do not want to dive into that.
Factory stock went 4-wide. You got to see it yourself. I want to know about that later on. Then there's plenty other drag racing too. There was Funny Car Chaos in Texas. There was PDRA there in Kentucky. We've got more drag racing happening this very weekend without the NHRA professional categories running. So there's plenty to talk about on the back half, but we do need to take another break. And right after this break, we will have Rob Flynn on to chat with us. And I know he's good to go because Too Tall Paul, I saw him. He's got everything set up for us, and Rob is ready to go. So no worries. His son has got him on, and he will be ready for us right after this word from Holly.
Classic car owners, make your headlights over twice as bright with Holley Retro Bright LED headlights. A plug-in replacement for those dim halogen seal beams, Retro Bright maintains that classic look and lasts 6 times longer. Stay safe and click the link below to learn more.
Rob Flynn, welcome to the Competition Plus Power Hour.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Man, it's cool to have you on because it was maybe 8 months ago. You walked up to me at ZMAX actually, and you're like, "Hey, I like your show," and I'm like, "Which one are you talking about?" "Oh, Tuesday night." I'm like, "Oh yeah, thanks," and now we got you on. So pretty cool, man.
Yeah, no, it's really awesome. Good to be with you guys. I've never met you, Sam, but I'm sure I will.
We saw each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we saw each other in passing here this weekend, but you guys were on a rail. You guys were busy. Every time I walked past the pit, light atmosphere, but everyone was doing their job and having a good time, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, at the 4-wide, you're kind of really focused, and you see people, but you don't see them.
So, Rob, look, on the weekend, I got to ask first and foremost, because I didn't get to catch much of qualifying, but I saw a photo of Mike Salinas getting out of the car on track. So whatever that session that was, what happened and, what was going on?
So that was on Q1. Mike went to push the clutch in for the burnout, and the pedal basically bent and broke off. So he was able to do the burnout, but once it go to back up, he had no way of pushing the clutch in to put it in neutral and get the car in reverse. So we had no choice but to shut him off and get him out of the cars, because we were actually holding the show up with the other 3 cars that were pretty much staged and ready to go. And, we were still in the middle of the racetrack in lane 1. It's a very unusual situation to break the clutch pedal off.
Right. That just goes to show you how much force is behind that thing.
Yeah, no, it's totally unusual. I mean, we're like, you got to be kidding me. And actually, we had the CEO of Pep Boys there, and some other upper management, because they were at the store opening that Mike and the team went and displayed the car. And so it was like a really important run, because that guy wasn't, the CEO wasn't able to stay. And so in turn, he asked to, can I have the clutch pedal? And so once we got out of the car, we gave it to him as a memento of his time at the track there.
So with something like that, do you pull that off of the spare car? Do you guys have extra, clutch pedals and assemblies already ready to go just in case something like that happens?
Well,
Sam,
I mean,
Rob, I know what y'all do. Y'all go to the local Pep Boys and you're like, yeah, we need a top fuel clutch.
Yeah, there you are.
The back, get it over the counter, please.
No, I mean, our crew is so good, and they're prepared, and they just went in the drawer where, the chassis components are and stuff like that, and dug out another one and put it in the car, and then reset everything, and away we go for Q2.
And from then on, the weekend, from what I understand, went a whole lot smoother, and all the way eventually to the final quad and a win. So any other bumps in the road to the win, so to speak?
Well, I mean, once you don't make Q1, you're kind of behind behind everyone else, and you got to make a decision whether, okay, are we going to be really aggressive here, or are we going to just try and get the car in the show? And our attitude is, we want to qualify, at the top of the ladder all the time. And so we're pretty aggressive, but really we didn't get all of it. And we ran, I think it was a 70 with an 8 or something like that. And then, so we came back and thought, okay, well, we can run a little bit better on Q3. We went about 2 feet and it smoked the tires. So that was another situation. And then we're like, well, okay, why are we doing that? So we made some, pretty big adjustments, and the car went out there and responded on the Q4 and made a great run, and ran another 70, and that ended up actually being low of the session. So that was pretty exciting.
And when you look back over the weekend, I mean, looking at the ladder here, Justin Ashley qualifies number 1 with a 366 with a 9. Leah number 2. You guys are down in number 5 with a 37 with an 06. Q1, you guys obviously didn't have that chance. Q2 was Friday night underneath the lights. Probably the conditions that any crew chief wants Friday night.
That was the run to run your 60, and like I said, we just kind of missed the setup on that. It wasn't trying to be conservative. It's just the way our car is. Sometimes if the clutch doesn't work quite right, it just it actually slows itself down, and that's basically what happened in that situation.
And so with those conditions, and then going, the next morning going into Q3, track was hot. It was a hotter day on Saturday. I mean, you kind of it seemed, and I don't want to make this guesstimation, but I am. It seems like everyone's trying a different, clutch or finding different things. But it seemed like kind of at this point, you guys have found what works for you guys, and you're consistently tweaking that setup.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, we're dealing with the disc thing too. I mean, we've had to introduce another new disc, and we actually did that on Monday at Vegas testing, and we ran that at Houston on 2 of the qualifying runs, and then race day, and then on Q1 we just went with our standard package disc wise at Houston, because that was a night run. And, so we felt confident enough going into Charlotte that we'll just leave that disc in there and see how it goes. And then we just, started adjusting, and, losing the first run wasn't optimal, that's for sure. But we just stayed on the course to leave the disc in there. And then, on Q3, smoking the tires, that wasn't good, but we're going to just stay with it. And, obviously it all paid off on Q3. We made a great run, and, the track it was not totally hot then, but, it was in the cooling stage, and the sun was, in a different part. And, then, first round kind of was a play of Q2 where the track was really good, but the clutch didn't work quite as well. And the car ran, a 76, which was certainly not what we went up there to run. And then, we made some more adjustments, and when it ran a 70 flat, I mean, that was pretty impressive. And I thought, okay, we got a good car now. And, we got back, after the E2 and looked at all the data, and I was like, this thing's a little bit in trouble in a few areas here. And so we tried to, make some adjustments there so that, in the final round, it would, go down the track. And frankly, I was pretty surprised that it ran the same ET, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah, just looking over the numbers of the day, Mike drove well, it seemed like. I think the highest light was an 080 something. There was 060, 050, and 76, 70, 70, over 320 miles per hour, nearly 330. So exceptional day performance-wise for the Pet Boys Top Fuel Dragster, and second win on the season with a team that I feel like yourself, Mike, Aaron, the rest of the guys, they have to kind of be like, y'all counted us out with everything that happened and changed, and look where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. And what I really attribute it to is all those crew guys. I mean, they had other opportunities. And, they're loyal to Mike and stuck with it. And we've really gelled. I mean, it's a great environment for me, for sure. And, those guys do a fantastic job. I mean, they're championship caliber crew guys. And really the bottom line is those guys do a perfect job all the time. And the mistakes that we make this year are really related to tuning the car. When I say we blow the tires off of the starting line, well, that's something we got to fix. It's certainly not a crew situation. So, and breaking the clutch pedal out, that's just a bad luck or something, I guess. But we recovered from that, and at the end of the day, we're holding the trophy. So it's it's a great weekend.
How does it feel for you being in the most senior position on this team, but being considered the rookie? I've heard you say in multiple other interviews and at the starting line there with Joe, I'm the rookie. I'm the new guy on this team. How does that, how do the guys take to that, and how is that around in the atmosphere for you?
Well, these guys are great. I mean, they have a lot of fun. They do a fantastic job. They do stuff the way that I really like it. Like they, for instance, when the car comes back, they service the car right away. And most times at night, our car's put away, really early. And that's not so they can, sit and, have a beer or anything. That's so they can get the other work done and get all the parts prepared for the next day. So, I really like that. I don't like where the car just sits there and it's not ready. And then finally you load it up, or even at the shop, they come in, get the car serviced. The car's ready to run like almost the day we get back. It's ready to go back in the trailer. Essentially, we don't put it back in the trailer, but we leave it out, but it's ready to go. And those guys are servicing, whatever their particular area is, whether it's the cylinder heads, the clutch, the blower, the rods and pistons, or the short block. And that's what they do. And they all do a fantastic job.
So, Rob, we are about to go into a stretch of the year with going into spring, into summer. Things are going to be warmer, and a tuner really earns his paycheck in the time of the year that we're about to go into, with the conditions that make it so challenging to get 11,000 plus horsepower down the track. So what does it take? What is it going to take from you to keep Mike Salinas on top and the track temp be 120, 130 plus, and it's a 100-degree day with humidity in the air, so on and so on?
Well, I mean, after last weekend, we have a lot of confidence in in our hot track setup. I mean, obviously it wasn't 125 degrees out there, but it was second round there. I think it was like 116 degrees, something like that, 118. And then the final round was, somewhere in the same vicinity. Although the track was cooling a little bit at that point, it was still quite hot out there. The hot and humid, as far as like Houston, we didn't quite get that set up 100%, but we still ran, pretty well there. The 70, I think we ran a 72 there, which that field was incredibly tight. I mean, we had a 69.5 with number one and a 72.2 was number 9. So, those things are going to happen. And, we just missed it a little bit on the first run, but, after that we were running pretty good. And so if we can keep this car running like it is, last weekend, or, 72 to a 69, everywhere we go, that'll be really good to, to tackle all these racetracks. And obviously when it gets into the 130s, we're probably not going to be able to run that quick, but it's going to slow us down 300 or 400, I would think. So we just try and get the best out of the car all the time. And like I said, Mike's doing a fantastic job driving it, and the crew is always doing a perfect job of preparing the car. So I don't know what more he could ask for in that regards.
So, Rob, we got a question coming in, and it says, what preparation does a crew chief make before a race?
Well, I think Mike even said in some of his interviews, we're looking at the weather for what's going to happen in Virginia. We don't know 100% what's going to happen in a week and a half, but we're looking at the weather to see what the trends are going to be. Look at all the data from last week, and if we have any data from Richmond, which I believe would have been 19 is the last time we were there. You can look at some of that, but Richmond is like one of the smoothest racetracks out there. So, that's one thing you don't even have to worry about at all. And, it's going to depend on what the conditions are. I mean, if you get, for instance, you get 70-degree temperatures there, you're going to see some incredible performance there by all classes. And if you get really hot weather, then, you're still going to run really well, but, we're all going to have to adjust around all that kind of stuff for sure. But we're looking at the weather first, and then when we show up the track, we're, go out and look at the track. Usually most of the tracks are prepared very similar. They all look, really pretty good. And then just kind of adjust to the conditions, whatever those are. I mean, Richmond is usually high barometer because it's very close to sea level. So it's similar to, we'll say, Houston in one regards, but probably not quite as humid as it is in Houston's in general anyway. So, your setup is going to be sort of similar to Gainesville, maybe Houston, other than the humidity part, and then Sonoma, something like that, or all those tracks where it's, very close to sea level. Your setup's going to be somewhat similar to that. It just depends on, how much water's in the air and how hot it is.
So, Mike Salinas has competed his way into the second spot in the points, not too far behind Brittany Force, and he got a rather emotional, from what I understand, coming to the realization that he may have the best car team to go out there and nab a championship that he ever has had to date. And Rob, you're obviously a part of that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Do you feel like, hey, we've accomplished one segment of the job, and the next segment is let's just go win more races in a championship? Or does that put more pressure on you that your driver makes such statements and it's like, hell, they already got to go get the championship now?
No, that's always the goal every year. I mean, other people can't put any more pressure than you put on yourself. I mean, you want to be successful all the time, and it's not always going to happen. But as long as you're right in with the whole group, and there's an incredible amount of parity right now in Top Fuel and really all the classes, and just to be part of that whole conversation, it's really great. And there's some cars that obviously Brittany's car. A lot of times on the night runs really lays a run down. And last week it was, Justin Ashley that, got the number one qualifier. So it's moved around. A lot of different people have had number one qualifiers this year. So it's really a challenge to race these guys every week. And it's the same for all of us. We're all, we all know how much parity there is. And, it all comes down to just, the guy that makes the least amount of mistakes is what the bottom line is.
And for you, Rob, over your career and everything that you've done, what was that moment that you knew you were hooked in drag racing?
Well, that would have been the very first race I went to. A friend of mine took me to the races, and we walked in the gate, and their fuel cars were running, and that was back in the days when they had to push start them. And that first fuel motor, I mean, it's like the hook was set basically. And I want to be involved with that is what happened. And I was 15 years old at the time, and it was a match race in my hometown, Edmonton, Alberta, where Gary Beck, one of my heroes in that, was racing, and Don Perdome was there racing Gordy Bonin, and then all the local Edmonton, Top Fuel cars, which there was quite a few at the time, and funny cars were all racing. And that was my introduction to drag racing. And once the nitro cars, that was it. I wanted to be involved with that. And so that was a goal right away back when I was 15 years old.
And it's going to continue beyond even yourself, the family being in drag racing. Let's talk a little bit about your extremely tall son, Too Tall Paul as he is known. He's there with Toyota as a track specialist and is involved. So there has to be a sense of pleasure and pride with your son right there at national events along with you, whether he can or cannot tell you any information that he does get.
Yeah, he cannot, but yeah. So anyway, I mean, obviously it's fantastic. And if you look at the picture behind, that was when he spent the summer with us on that Steelmaster car with J.R. Todd driving when I was with Colettas. And that was his first win. So he actually, he got the mellow yellow bath, and I still have the can from that today. So that was a pretty exciting time for sure. And then, he spent a few summers as an intern, and then, they hired him during COVID and kind of threw him to the wolves as far as doing the track prep. And, he's excelling in that area for sure.
So another question coming in, I think this is a good one. It says, is compression height and cylinder head CC the most the crew chief looks at as far as tuning in different weather conditions as far as the engine goes?
Yeah, I mean, the compression ratio, and I guess if not everyone knows, I mean, we have a certain piston height, and we have head gaskets, copper gaskets that range from 60 thousandths to 125. So you can make pretty big adjustment, and they're in 1,000th increments. So, and really the reason they're in 1,000th increments is because we measure everything As far as the piston rack height and that to the half thousandths, we CC the heads to the 10th of a CC. And so we're able to adjust the compression ratio and maintain whatever we want with those gaskets. The other thing you're tuning also would be the blower overdrive. Some teams would tune with nitro percentage, which in really adverse conditions will go both directions. If it's Denver, you're running as much nitro as you can humanly get in there, rule wise. And maybe in Gainesville, when it's some incredible amount of cold air and high barometer, you take some nitro out of it. You have those to work with, and then you have the ignition timing that you could work with. So there's a lot of little variables there. Tuning the engine. It's compression, the supercharger overdrive, the nitro percentage, fuel volume comes into play somewhat, and then you have timing to work with. And those adjustments are made run to run. So there's never there's a baseline, but you work from a baseline and just make adjustments, whatever the conditions dictate.
So Rob Darrell Craft wants to know which is harder to tune, a funny car or top fuel dragster, and which one do you like the best? And you definitely have experience on both with your days dating all the way back to a Smoking Joe's car with a particular Bazemore guy.
Well, actually, back to the Fast Orange car with Bazemore in 94, 95.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was that, and that car before you were involved, from what I understand, was orange for a lot of different reasons, and not just the color on the paint job.
Well, I blew them up once too, so. But yeah, we were a lot easier on parts than they were previous to that. That's for sure. So, people ask what's harder or what's easier, and none of it's easy. So the dragster is what I call more forgiving because of the wheelbase involved and the engine being behind the driver. So not easy, more forgiving. Funny car takes a lot more finesse because you're basically trying to take the same amount of horsepower you're making with a top fuel car and putting it into a short wheelbase car. And it's it's a lot heavier. Funny car, I believe the rule's 2580, so cars are at least 2,600 pounds. Whereas a dragster is just 2340 is the weight, and you're pretty much going to be at least 10 or 15 pounds over that all the time if you can get your car that light, which not very many are that light. And so harder, easier, I just call it more forgiving on the dragster. And as far as either one, it's it could go either way. I mean, if you didn't have a job and someone offered you a job on a funny car, you would take that, and that would just be a new challenge. That's all.
So going back to the Scrappers Racing team and having a guy like Mike Salinas there, at the helm of that, and his style. We've had him on the show, and he always talks about his unique style of going back, to the older days of how drag racing was and what it looks like with the sleek, absolutely sleek trailers and the haulers. Does that, that way that he controls everything of how he likes it, that old school race vibe, is that something that you gelled with right away, going over there, or was that something that you had to get used to?
Oh no, I gel with that right away. I like the trucks. I think it's awesome when they park us where everyone can see those trucks, because they're really impressive to look at. And so that's certainly old school. I hope he doesn't lose that at all, and keep those trucks with the flames on them and everything. Do whatever else with the trailer and everything else, but I hope he can keep all that. And Yeah, I mean, we gelled. I mean, when Mike talked to me about coming to work for him, he actually flew me to Vegas when Jasmine was running the fuel car the weekend after the Las Vegas event in the fall. And we were watching the fuel car, and he goes, "Yeah, Saturday, you want to go to NHRA, revival?" I'm like, "Sure." I mean, it's something I thought about, but I wasn't just going to fly to California at the time because we're gone all the time anyway. And at that time, I didn't have a job, so it wasn't certainly high on my list. So, so we drove over to Irwindale and went there, and it was really cool. And I think part of what helped me get the job was the time we spent together talking, and we had similar interests, and all the people that he knew, I knew, and then we went to Nitro Revival, and everyone's like, "You need to hire this guy. You need to hire this guy." And I'm sure he got sick of hearing that, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of those people that were there were instrumental in me getting the job, this year too. I mean, word of mouth is a big thing, so I think that was a big thing for sure.
Well, from the mouth of Mike Salinas, the word is like Rob Flynn takes these other crew chiefs' tunes and adjusts them, and he's a genius. So you got that to your credit now, man. You were a genius.
Genius. No, I mean, I feel like that's a good thing to do. Is you can go and change everything you want it, but at the end of the day, I feel like every car has its own personality, every setup, and I think if you work with what's there, and it's all. I mean, we're all working with the same kind of situation. There's different parts involved, but to change everything on a car if you show up is an extreme amount of money. And at the end of the day, I don't know that it's worthwhile. You can work with what you have. And I used a perfect scenario when I went to work for Kenny Bernstein. He goes, "I want you to build a car just like you got already." And that was the Caterpillar car, which was, pretty successful. I'm like, I said, the easiest way to do that is to buy the yellow car and paint it red, because we're going to spend, a tremendous amount of money to duplicate that car. And at the end of the day, it's probably still not going to be duplicated because there's something we're not going to change that is there. And so that was one thing that taught me is like, I should have probably, and I tried to duplicate things, but it's like I couldn't just spend $3 million changing everything. So I did the car and, some of the stuff, but he already had cylinder heads that were the same as ours, sort of, kind of. But, it just, at the end of the day, it didn't work to where you could just duplicate all that stuff. And I felt like I probably should have went in there and just taken what, Tim Richards had and just, worked with it at the time. Brandon was comfortable in the race cars that they had, and obviously they were successful, and just worked with that. And so I've kind of used that mindset that, if I go somewhere, I'm not going to just wholesale change everything. It's just going to work with what it is. And, I used the same thing when I went to Coletta's. Connie was the guy that made the final decision on the car as far as, JR's car at the time. And we would just talk about things, and I'd make suggestions, and he'd either thought it was great or didn't want to do it at all. And that's fine. He was the guy that made the final decision, but, he didn't go in there and just try and say, "That's what we need to do." So, and the same thing with Doug's car. I mean, at first, when I took over Doug's car, Connie goes, "I want you to change everything." I'm like, "No, I don't think so. This car runs pretty good already, and let's just, fix some of the areas there." And so, that's what we did, is just worked on it. And at the end of 18, when we took it over, we didn't really win any rounds, but we actually got the car to where, it was running pretty good, and the engine parts were looking good. And, that was a springboard to 19 when we had a really good year and, barely missed winning the championship. And I think we won, 3 or 4 races that year. And so, at the end of the day, that's what worked. And so when Mike says that, I take everyone else's stuff, I mean, that's a challenge. And I enjoy the challenge for sure.
From one of our really good friends, Caleb Cox, he chimes in and he says, does he have a tune-up ready for Wesley's Junior Dragster? From Stacy and Caleb.
Yeah, my son-in-law. No, he's going to have to tune that thing. No, I mean, I guess, whatever it comes down to that, I mean, we'll have to get notes from Antron Brown. He's the guy that has the junior dragsters, all the information on all that stuff. And, and Brad Mason too. He had a daughter in one also. So those would be the guys that we would look to first if that's the situation in the next, whatever, we'll say 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. I mean, the Forces, they probably got some good tunes there too. They've got a junior dragster clan going there.
Well, so, that's true. But they're in California, and I would look to Antron first because he's the guy that's out there week to week in the Midwest anyway, for sure.
Well, Rob, man, look, thank you for your time. We're going to let you go. Enjoy the rest of the evening and hang with the family. Look, congratulations getting the second win of the year with Scrappers Racing and first win with the new grandbaby at the track, from what I understand. I'm sure that was a big deal. So
that was real exciting having him there. And a little side story of the whole grandson thing is when I had my daughter, we had her on a Tuesday, and this was in 1996, and then we won the race on Sunday, which was my first win as a crew chief. And Chris Cunningham was the co-crew chief, and Dickie Venables was the cylinder head guy, and Kurt Elliott was the clutch guy. So it was a pretty good team right there. And Lou Arrington Jr. worked on the car, and another guy named Brian Schaefer. So step ahead now, 25 years later, my daughter's due date is Sunday. We win the race, and then she has the baby on March 1st, which is a Tuesday. So it was certainly an exciting time. And then for them to drive down and bring him to the track this weekend, that was pretty exciting. And then of course getting to have him in the winner's circle and the whole family here, that really tops it off on the whole weekend. That's for sure.
Stories like those that you can't replace and you can't make up, and that's what I think brings the whole drag racing community together. I saw Caleb and them walking in, and you can tell it was just one of those. I guess I know the first time I took my oldest son to the drag strip, and he got baptized by Nitro by Antron's car, and he got to sit in it. Those moments are something that you hold on to. So for you guys, I know it means the most. And like I say, congratulations. I mean, keep that story alive, and who knows, maybe the next time it'll be another Sunday, Tuesday, or another Tuesday, Sunday, and keep that tradition in the family.
Yeah, no, those are real exciting. Like, I go back in 1997, we won Seattle with the Team Winston car with Whit Bazemore, and we had both sides of our family, everybody at the track, our parents and all of the cousins and stuff like that. My mom and dad came down from Canada. My brother was there, his whole family. And when you win in those environments, that's extremely exciting for what we do. That's for sure. To share it with your whole family, because obviously they make a lot of sacrifices when you're not at home in that.
Rob, Pat chimes in and says, thanks for hanging with us, Rob. And yes, we want to reiterate that and say thank you for hanging with us right here on the Competition Plus Power Hour. He actually does watch the show, so that's good to know too. And we hope to have you sooner than later, and possibly under the context of another win. We definitely hope so. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys, and really appreciate it. You guys, doing this show and everything, getting us out there, and yeah, we look forward to the next time. We just try and keep our car running good, and you never know what's going to happen. Keep going to the semis every week. Good things happen.
That's right.
Rob, I got to ask before I let you go, you're Canadian. Do you like poutine?
Well, put it this way, I like fries and gravy. And so that's part of it. I'm not sure about the cheese part of it, but I like the fries and gravy. That's a kind of a Canadian staple, I think.
Oh yeah, I live in Minot, North Dakota. Yeah. I'm probably an hour and a half away from Manitoba, so I've dabbled in my great share of poutine. So I had to ask that question before we let you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
No, thank you, guys.
Get your CompetitionPlus.com apparel today. Whether it's our nitro-burning funny car design or the vibrant door slammer design, we have the swag to show you are always in the know. Get yourself a hat too. And we know not everyone enjoys wearing a mask, but if you must wear one, at least wear a good-looking one. Check out the new CompetitionPlusApparel.com for the latest from the place where you have trusted for your news on the internet for over 2 decades.
Well, Slammin' Sam, it looks like we might be about 10 minutes out from having Steve Johnson on the air with us. So let's pick back up the narrative over this past weekend of drag racing and look back to Pro Mod. Chris Thorne is someone that I think people should have kept their eye on.
I'm putting myself on mute, taking myself off screen. In the words of the great Wes Buck, I digress. I have nothing else to say. Wow.
Look, Chris Thorne is someone that I think any Pro Mod fan should have kept their eye on after that burn down he had with Stevie about 2 years ago at one of those, 5 Indianapolis races. He did pretty well that day. He goes on, he qualifies well, he takes the points lead. He has that wreck in the shutdown area at another Indianapolis race. I believe it was actually the U.S. Nationals. And it took a little while for him to come back, but he's got that car back under him. Another turbo, he's got that car really running well. Got that car back. He's back in form and already picks up now 2 wins in a row. Lyle Barnett, man, what can you not say about this racer? He is just that, a racer. He gets it done in beer money.
He's what we call a wheel man.
Man, he gets it done in beer money. He gets it done in the truck. I can't remember the name of the truck. He gets it done in Red Velvet, as they're calling the Turbo Pro Mod entry. And he's there in the final round against Tricky Ricky Smith and Shelton. So what a day for everyone involved. Do not take your eyes off of Chris Thorne. I'm not shocked by his performance and him being near and at the top. Lyle Barnett, we know he's a wheel man, just like you said, but you were there. I want to hear about this final round. It looked crazy. It looked cray-cray. You can hear me. You can hear me. You can hear me.
All right. What do you want to know, Lee? I have a video. Look, this is all I'm gonna say. I disagree. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I can say. I have my opinion. I may do an interview later, but wow. I mean, pull past the beams, we back up. Inside lanes leave early. Outside guys stay 1 and 4, stay until the light comes down. Instant win lights come on. Lee, I don't know how to put it into words right now. I really don't. It was I know Bobby said I used it out of context, but in this context, like, it was a slobber knocker. Like, it was pure pandemonium. It was that reason of, like, what just happened? What's going on here? If that's the way I can describe it. Standing behind Lyle Barnett's car in that final round and just watching everything go on with the lights and I don't know, Lee. I seriously, I don't know.
Pro mod being pro mod. That's what was happening.
No, honestly though, like you said, a lot of great racing in that class. As you guys know, I am a fan of pro mod. A lot of great racing all week. I mean, there was a lot of kind of questions that I had. I mean, you had all five, you know, they can run 5 different engine combinations, and all 5 were, you know, on board here this weekend. All 5 were on their premises. So to have that, first of all, is like, okay, this could be the change. What are we gonna see? What is the screw blower gonna do? What is, you know, the turbo car gonna do? So you have all these different options. And then to watch, you know, the Bahrain 1 team not be in the final was very, very odd. You know, Stevie Fast Jackson, a guy that, you know, we all know the name. He's one of those guys that when you look at racing, you can call another wheelman. I mean, he's done it all. You know, he's been, I would say, an idol to Lyle Barnett. Al Belushi.
Yeah, Sam, if they don't get things worked out here soon enough, he needs to put that gap spelled in reverse so people can see it read rightly from their mirrors.
Wow. Shot fired. Stevie Fad Jet. So I'm going to edit this, and I'm sending that to Stevie so he makes a video calling you out. I want to see that. I need to see the gap train be put on the Monday Morning Racer. I mean, and I honestly, you know, knowing Stevie Fat Jackson, he could probably do it on a pedal bike and you in a pro mod. I mean, the guy is just that good. I mean, I'm just going to say that.
No, he could be, because, you know, I have no clue what, I'm sitting in it. What do I do?
So, I think
I've already established that I can do the electric scooter with Buddy Hull and the shop tours. So we can get on electric scooters.
Man, that's harsh. You're calling out one of the best trash talkers on 4 wheels. I'm not going to say the best trash talker in the NHRA circuit because shortly here, I think we'll have one of the best.
You know, Stevie and that gang have just got to be.
Oh, they're chomping at the bit.
Yeah,
they're chomping at the bit.
Yeah,
hard. And I can guarantee you they're going to be testing. I can guarantee you there's going to be some changes made. And I mean, that's the like, if you honestly look at it, that's the wave of drag racing. You can go from being the highest to high. You can be the number one. You can be the best guy one day, and, you know, for a few years, and then all of a sudden things change. New advances come out, and if you ride that wave of drag racing or in motorsports period, man, that could be taxing on the body. I mean, you got to look, like, you know, we're going to have Steve Johnson on. He's been in this game for 30 something years. John Force has been doing it for as long as he's been doing it. Tricky Ricky, he's been doing it, you know, and riding that wave. You cannot let the wave of drag racing or motorsports, the highs and the lows, get to you. And if you do that, man, I mean, it's gonna be taxing on you, and you have to take it day by day. You have to take it week by week and race by race. The only thing that you can do is go out with what you have at that moment, at that time, and put on your best performance and try and set up a tune-up in any category that's gonna work and that's gonna get down the race surface. And, you know, and hats off to, you know, our finalists. But, like, I can honestly say I walked away from the starting line, Lee, and this is an honest opinion. In that final round, I honestly thought they were going to rerun it. with 2 cars. In my personal, I mean, if I had anything to do with it, there would have been a 2-car runoff, because just the way that went down, the staging lights turning off for other people, and it was like, for me, I would have been a very upset driver. That's how I'm going to leave that. But again, that's just for anyone out there, that's just my opinion.
Well, hey, great take. I do have this take, though. Elvis has entered the building. And after the break,
I've got steamed broccoli downstairs. I've got steamed broccoli waiting for me downstairs.
In the race for quality, there is no finish line. Jerry Bickle Race Cars is a one-stop chassis shop for drag racing performance parts and race components. For over 50 years, Jerry Bickle Race Cars has been an essential part of racers' plans for building world champion race cars. Our parts department is stocked with every part a racer might need. Log on to jerrybickle.com for more information. We build anything with doors. jerrybickle.com.
Elvis, do you have us a song tonight?
Just burning love, burning love for a Wally at the house.
Hey, I got you. Hey, he's got a buddy. You got 2 back-to-back, man.
Oh man, talk about some special stuff. Oh my gosh, it's like, I know there's not a lot of people as happy as me, and we're just drag racers, right? But it's like, wow, it is very, very special. It's you know, I want to tell the world about it. You know, on one hand, it's like not necessarily about winning a race, but it's like getting a chance to do what you love to do.
Oh yeah, and seeing you here this weekend, Steve, and I got to talk to you, before the race and a little bit after, and I was just like, best of wishes to you, good luck. And you went out there and you guys had fun. I mean, at the beginning of the day, I know when I walked up, you were asking about spark plugs and if they were new spark plugs or old spark plugs, when you guys were, kind of checking everything over at the beginning of the morning. And then at the end of the night, you're putting on a press conference on the top end that's like no other. I mean, you could hardly stand up.
Yeah, it was I did, y'all, so there's so, from the moment when you do 4 wide, first of all, that 4 wide, there's a lot of people that don't dig it, but I'm telling you, I kind of dig it. I really dig it. I watched the fuel guys race, and man, it's a lot going on to watch 4 fuel cars go. It's like, what just happened? But when you watch it on a replay, it is pretty cool because they do replay, and then your brain can kind of grab all 4 replays together and kind of tell you what happened. But you obviously know who won. But it's really cool. And when those lights are blinking, and as a driver, you have strategy. So the only strategy with 2 people is, am I going to pre-stage or am I going to stage before them? Well, this one you can drag it out really late. You can be the third guy or the second person or whatever, and not stage, and really drag it out for that 7 seconds. And when the first person goes in, boom, 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 then it really happens fast. So there's just so many other things that are going on. But when you go down the track, and when the light comes on and it's blinking, that means that you won. And so that's what you're looking for as one of the 4 competitors, as a blinking light. The solid light means that you're second, and no light means you're you're this person and you're this person. So and I've been there plenty. Well, a lot of there's an old truck driver from Southern California, just a burning love. When that flashing light comes on, oh my gosh, it's just like so much gratitude and so much happiness. and wheeling around that corner and then telling you to come in and the camera's on you. I had so many people there that I did a shout out. I said, hey, look at all these people. Look at all the payroll. Richard Childress, I got a lot of payroll too. Can you tell? So then I said, actually not. They're all free help. So it's all a volunteer crew. We are such a bunch of misfits. Anyway, it was fun.
Well, misfits or not, you're getting it done, back-to-back wins, but it, from everything I heard, it wasn't just a smooth weekend. There were little trip-ups here and there. Y'all overcame and were able still to get the win. Some things that could have gone a lot worse and cost you a whole lot more money.
Yeah, the in the second round of qualifying, we wanted to do a bigger burnout, get some more heat off the tire. That's one of the problems I had last year, and so they held me in the water longer. You know, obviously, as a driver, you can't see. I've thought about putting a mirror up there, and it's just like I got to trust my guys and whatever. So I roll out of the water, and they're saying, shut it off, shut it off. I look down, I'm like, there's smoke everywhere. I'm like, wow, I did a damn badass burnout. And they're like, and I'm like, that's oil burning. So then I shut it off, and our engine builder is new to engine building. He's learning a lot all the time, and he's got a great advisory team, but he was trying to do some machining on a valve cover to try to create the right amount of squish on some parts, and forgot to do that, and at the same time forgot to tighten the bolt. So actually the valve cover was loose and oil was flying out of the valve cover. But the ironic thing is it happened when it left the shop. So in Q1 when we qualified, I don't know if we qualified number 1 or number 2 in the first session. We should have lost that run because it was leaking oil and it filled up with, in a 4-valve Suzuki head, the cams are on each side. And like, if you put my chin, my chin is where the spark plugs are. So the whole area in there was filling up with oil from the valve cover. And so in the second round, it had filled up so much that it had spilled out the sides and went on the exhaust pipe. So we really got lucky on round 1. So that happened. We missed round 2, which ultimately saved us a run on the engine, which on our little budget, we love saving parts and reducing costs. So that was a blessing. And we went through 4 rounds of qualifying, made 3 rounds and didn't get number 1 qualifier, got number 2 again, and got beat by Angel this time. I think it was Karen, and the girls are tough, man. The girls are, they can wear us out, man. That's what's so great about our sport. That's what I said on driver intro. Our sport's so great. Ethnicity, guys, girls, whatever, there's we just have an awesome sport that anybody can shine. Anybody that wants to spend the time and the effort and the money, dedication, all that stuff, they can shine. So I'm just another one of many living proofs of that statement.
Yeah, and then you come out, even with those problems, you still run low ET. In Q1, you ran a whopping 670. 676 at 198. That was Q2 actually. Q3, you come back and run a 676 again. So, I mean, even though you were still having these problems, the bike was on a rail. It was consistent, and it is making the power that it needs to make, and it runs the number.
The power comes from the monster head. That's the 4-valve heads are really cool. They're cool enough to where they got 10 pounds added on them before we even started this season, and they're cool enough to where they already took another 10 pounds off the Buell. So we've been to 3 races and there's already a 20-pound swing. So the sanction body just does what they think they need to do. Ryan Naylor and Angie and Mark and there's a small group still on Buells and I think the goal is to try to get the Buells and the Suzukis to weigh the same amount. Even with the cubic inch difference, they still want them to weigh the same. I think it's much easier to keep track of, but it's those engines are really, really cool and we're learning about them all the time. Vance and Hines has just gotten to be fast as heck. Angel went, well, she's #1 qualifier. She went a 672 or 671 or something. She went really, really fast. And I don't know if the glitter on her leathers is what makes it fast, or if they actually put in some new cams or did porting or what. But I know as much effort as they put into cam degree, oversized valves, special porting with a really cool short side. It may be the transmission ratios. They're changing that. The dyno, Ray driving the truck, getting, all the data there and everybody pulling together, including Angel sometimes the glitter does not get perfect. It doesn't lay flat. Sometimes you actually have to lay the glitter on there to make it reflect. All of that goes to making that team is what kind of team it is. And she is the leader over there.
So, Steve, I'm curious. Are you going to try glitter yourself now, just to see if you happen to go faster or not? We got to ask at this point.
Well, the glitter is definitely something that I was thinking. Right now with our society and everything so political, I'm just really wondering about this Wally. I'm wondering at some point, is it going to be Wally's daughter that we're going to get, or Wally's wife? It's like all this male testosterone thing. I just don't know if we're always going to have Wallys. We might have Wallinas. Oh, wow, I got a Wallina. It's like, check out my Wallina.
Well, I guess that answers my question. I guess my question there was, what will we name it if it's not Wally, but it's Wallina? So
Wallina, yeah, it's
yeah.
And I say that because there maybe glitter will be above the eyelashes or above the eyebrow. No, the eye, above the eye, where they put the glitter on their eye. What is that called? The eye lens, eyelid. Yes. And maybe Angel, she might be a consultant to the trophy company. She has just she even got in my face and says, "Hey, it's not glitter, it's Swarovski rhinestones." I'm putting my own flair to her Cajun accent. It's not being disrespectful. I'm just trying to mimic what I believe I hear. So they're Swarovski rhinestones is what I just remembered. I have a public relations agency now that's following us around, and Leanne told me make sure that if you talk about Angel, you get the Swarovski. Anyway, she doesn't have glitter; she has rhinestones.
Well,
just under fair reporting,
Yes. Accuracy definitely is important. Steve, you were doing some testing yesterday, still at the ZMAX facility, with 2 wins on the season and performing at a top level. Some ET and speed records there at Houston for its last event. What do you all feel that you still got to go out there and find that's necessary for some testing right now?
Oh, well, that's a cool question. Matt, I was just there because Matt Smith was there, and I wanted to spy on what he was doing. He made I mean, that guy's bad to the bone. I mean, he made pass after pass after pass after pass, and we started the morning at. Let me tell you how cool drag racers are. It says we're going to have testing, and so we wanted to be up at 7:15 and be at the track at 8. Take out the engine, put in the engine, and do all the things that we needed to do, and then be on the track by 12 o'clock max. Well, we didn't get on the track till 4, but I kept hearing Matt. Matt made pass after pass after pass, and Angie's out there with the video camera, and Nate's out there who does lots of work, and I think Nate's gal's out there. I mean, they're all in. They're all in. It's one thing you can't take nothing away from the guy. He's got 5 championships. He didn't send away for those championships. He worked for them. So they were out there because their Suzuki's not fast or not quick. And so they were out there learning, I guess, the clutch and stuff. And what's cool is Charlotte, they did an incredible job with the track. So there's fuel cars out there in the lanes at 8 o'clock or at 9 o'clock when we roll in there. And I'm like, they're already warmed up, running, and in the lanes, ready to go down the track. And we haven't even got there enough to open the back door. And when we won, we threw all our junk in there. We just wanted to go party, right? And that was dumb. That was so dumb because we just shot ourselves in the foot for testing. But I had a new tire. I wanted to have a new tire. I wanted to put that on and test that. Mickey Thompson provides these tires that are just bad to the bone. Anybody wants a Mickey Thompson for anything that they use, even Goodyear now owns them. But all those products are just so good. And we wanted to test some engine parts that we were working on. And we just failed drastically at it. So it was kind of short-sighted of a test, but I know I tried. me and Barry and James and Candace showed. They stayed for a little deal. They work at Brady Mechanical Contracting, air conditioning, and they stayed and helped. So we just didn't get it done. But we wanted to learn, and there was stuff to learn. I promise you. Greg Anderson was there. Are you kidding me? That guy, how many passes has that guy made? He was run after run, and they didn't even race there. He just made pass after pass after pass, So it was frustrating listening to them make all those passes after we're trying to make ours at least go down the track one time. But there's lots to learn all the time.
And so speak on this Mickey Thompson. I mean, I know they do a lot of different things. What is so special about this tire that they now provide for you guys?
Well, I get a special tire that Matt doesn't get. Matt gets Matt gets all the blems. He just doesn't know it. What? I'm not supposed to say anything like.
No, I mean you're telling us the truth, and that's what we like to hear here.
That's not really the truth, though. I was kind of fibbing. Hey, when I was running Denso spark plugs, I swear they told him, "Hey, give them the spark plugs that are blems, or give them ones that are got they got them, and Matt pre-gapped my spark plugs. Drop. Okay, put them back in the package. It's like." I'm just being kind of a jackwagon right now. I'm just joking, but it's I'll tell you what, our manufacturers that produce all the NHRA stuff, the drag racing. I've been interacting with some NASCAR guys. These vendors that we have in our society for making race car parts and motorcycle parts is so cool. I got to see some inside stuff today and this weekend that really is the perfection of top quality parts. If your parts aren't top quality, you need to go to another vendor. If you think your parts aren't top quality and you think you need top quality parts, then they're out there. You just need to find them. You need to switch vendors, because there's some vendors, and many of the vendors on our motorcycles on the contingency side, webcam is just they do such an awesome job. And Cometic Gaskets, they've done just an incredible job for us. V-Twin Power Sports and Star Racing, and we've gotten, you know, Monster Cylinder Heads, and we've got just some incredible vendors that make just fantastic quality parts. And to check them and install them, Goodson. It was quite a segue to plug into the sponsors, right? But Goodson, everybody knows Goodson. They make all these parts for your machine shop, and to be able to check stuff with Goodson. I saw a gauge today that measures 20 different, let me see, how do I say it? If you break down 1/1000th of an inch, this micrometer will measure 20 different spots within that 1/1000th of an inch. How about that, guys? Go ahead and put that together for you.
I don't know anywhere in my life I need that much exactness. I'm not, no.
So on a lifter, did you guys know, I think this is, I might be in trouble, I don't know. On a lifter or a bucket, like we, on a Monster Cylinder Head, it's got a cam follower that has like a little dimple that that receives the shim. The shim sits on top of the valve, and when the cam lobe comes down on top of the cam follower, it pushes the valve down, obviously. So, which is fascinating, what I heard from somebody with a blower. When the lobe first touches the bucket, the exhaust valve doesn't open right away, even though the cam lobe is pushing it, because there's so much pressure in the combustion chamber. And somebody's going to get me in. I'm going to get in trouble here, but there is a lot of movement on that lobe to push that bucket down before it actually opens. And I think it's called deflection. So the deflection's going on, the pressure is not letting the valve open, and something's in there deflecting, because the cam lobe is definitely pushing down the bucket, but the valve's not opening, but it's deflecting. So it has to go a certain amount of crank rotation before the valve actually passes enough deflection to where it can open. And then when it opens, oh my gosh, it opens fast. But in any case, my point with the dial indicator is a lobe or the bucket might not be flat. It might have a radius to it. So if you have a 2/1000th radius, how do you measure that? And I saw a micrometer today that measures lifters and anything that has a high center and a low outside. And when I looked at all the zeros, I was like, wow, that is some sophisticated stuff. And even if you can measure it, you got to have a company and a machine that can produce that. So there are companies and machines out there that can produce stuff like that. And it's just bad to the bone to know that that's out there. So if you take a tenth, if you take a tenth of a thousandth and split a tenth in half, that's what this gauge would read.
Man,
I never thought I'd even know any of that. I mean, I actually understand everything I said. I might not have said it good. I'm no Tech Talk Tuesday like George Bryce and oh man, the internet is flooded with Tech Talk people. You know, AREA or something like that, AREA or something. And Total Seal with Keith Jones. Lots of information going on these days, and it's fascinating to watch, fascinating to listen to. I think I don't know if it's all perfect, but there's definitely stuff to listen to.
All right, so we got a question coming in. I think you're a great candidate to answer this one. How much concern is there in the racing community about all the strips, meaning tracks, that have closed or are planning to close?
Well, I think our sport is definitely on an upswing. I mean, a track would only close because a track owner could make more money doing something else, selling the land. And that's really tough because they don't make land anymore. So anything that becomes rare becomes more valuable. So it becomes very challenging because I think the land that drag strips is on occupies, parking and the drag strip and everything else that goes on. So it becomes very, very valuable. Having said that, it breaks my heart that these tracks sell, because we need a place to race. I want to be able to try to help. There was a girl, Madeline, that was on another show that I was on late last week or early last week with oh boy, I'm gonna forget who it was, but I did a show, and she is single-handedly got a force of people together to try to get Moroso saved. And I told her, man, she's such a superstar. Any race she wants to come to, I'll help her out. But she's trying to fight for it. And I think if we can show, I think it's a tough pill to swallow, and it's a hard way to go. But if we can try to reevaluate the money that is generated from a drag strip, the economic impact in each market at one time was about $30 million when a drag race came. When an NHRA Camping World drag race came to a city, the city would enjoy about a $30 million in economic impact. And I think if the racetrack could get more percentage of that, I don't think there would be that much of a reason to sell. But if the racetrack is just into revenue, then they're going to do whatever it takes to make. They're going to do whatever they think they need to do to make money. So we could show them all kinds of great positive things. This is a racetrack, such a great place to introduce young people into the skilled trades industry. It's another reason I hate losing a racetrack, but I think we really need to support them, and we need to tell the track owners and the track management how important it is, not only for us, but our families or our friends, the local schools, the hotels, everything around there. When a warehouse comes in, I don't think a warehouse is helping the hotels or the restaurants very much. So we need to have a louder voice. That's what Madeline was saying.
Steve, do you feel that it is on your shoulders specifically that you have to be a bit of a rabble rouser within your own category and the whole of the NHRA and be outspoken? I mean, I enjoy it. It's wonderful, but do you feel at times like, man, can anybody else come along and help me out in this endeavor? And you're not the only one mentioning glitter and professionalism over a weekend?
Well, I definitely ruffled up some. Oh, it was Joe. It was Joe Costello on WFO. That's where I met Madeline. He's got a show like you guys. It's fantastic. I love all these drag racing shows. But there's I ruffled some feathers, but I just said what I thought was going on. I mean, there's so much, people only see what's on the racetrack. They don't see behind the curtain. They don't get the emails. They don't see some of the social media private messages that get sent around. Our group's pretty tight. Our pro stock motorcycle team's pretty tight. I saw Hagen. Hagen gets a lot of publicity, and I mean, I don't know where that guy shops. Where does that guy find? He must shop at a parachute shop, because he is so big that there's no way there's no way the Gap has anything for Hagen. No way. And Caps has got, he's doing this burrito thing where he goes to all these different burrito places. Wings. He goes to all these wings places. That is a Guy Ferretti takeoff that is so smart to do. I have become a Wings fan now that I've moved to the South, and I've been here 10 years or 20 years. And I'm starting to love wings. I stayed at Mike Wallace's this week, and he has one smoking house, man. You open up the pantry, and there is Rolos and M&Ms and Reese's peanut butter cups and a bunch of other stuff that's not really good. But oh my God, my buddy Barry got to stay there this weekend, and Jock stayed there. Jock's a fly-in guy now, but everybody that was sleeping in their trailer, you guys sucked this weekend. We had it over you big time. This place was really, really nice. So, and the cost was zero. So I saved all that money, and I'm going to buy Pistons. But it was nice to live. It was nice to live like the rich do. So it was. Mike Wallace has been to. He flew on Air Force 2 and went to Saddam Hussein's place, and has got a chunk of the palace in his house that's a great conversation piece. And he's had a wonderful career and stuff. But man, some of those NASCAR guys, they dogged out each other all the time. I love that stuff. The drama. Joey Logano and Matt Kenseth a couple of years ago. Man, that was awesome, right? And they take out each other. Now the young guys are taking out each other. That stuff is cool. I wanted to, after somebody dogs you out on the starting line, it's Michael Phillips. Man, he wanted to pound this guy's butt at the finish line because the guy was jacking with him. And so Michael gets off his bike at Indy one year, and I said, "Hey, Michael, what the heck? I'm gonna kick that guy's tail." I'm like, "Oh man, don't do that because they'll fine you." I don't care. I'm gonna kill that guy. Nobody jacks with me like Michael. If they do that, they'll fine you, and they'll probably kick you out of the race. I don't care. I'm gonna tear that. Nobody does that to me, and I'm like, they'll fine you, they'll throw you out of the race, and then they might suspend you from other races. I don't care. And I said, well, get in there and kick his ass then. So it's like I was trying to hold him back, but at the end, it's like, that's what put NASCAR on the map, right? Is all that fighting stuff. So, wow, I don't know if our sport will ever turn to fisticuffs, but I know deep down the sanction body probably wouldn't condone it, but they'd probably lick their chops and love it because the TV show is exciting as heck, right?
Well, if they do that, Lee, they might have to put boxing gloves on the video game, and that might be the top end secret if you can do that. If we keep going at that rate, but
right. If you have a burn down long enough, it unlocks the top end fight that yes.
Mason McGahey and Bruno. I mean, that was so cool last year. It drug out a little long. I would have rather seen them get pushed back than scolded and then say, "I'm going to give you 30 seconds to pre-stage and stage, and if you don't, I'm going to red light both of you." I would have loved to have seen them go right back at it. But Mason is such a cool cucumber, and Bruno's been racing a long time. He's as professional as they come. So it was really, I personally loved it. I know Fox has got a TV show to put on and stuff, but I just love change in our sport. You know what I'm saying? You guys like that too?
Oh yeah, I mean we've said it many a times that we want to see raw emotion, and I think right now, you're definitely putting it out there and sticking it, out there, and even and with the raw emotion, there was, and I want to talk about it, there was an exchange between you and John Force in the media room. What was that like coming from you? What was that moment? What did it mean? How did it feel? And just give us, I guess, your raw emotion of that moment.
Well, I got to back up real quick. So he's our Elvis Presley. I mean, I said I was Elvis. I did Walmart's with Slick 50 in the 80s, and John might not admit it or remember it. I don't know. I'm not dogging him out. I'm just saying he did castor oil appearances, even attention, wannabe drag racer, wannabe professional career drag racers. You got to do stuff. You got to do stuff for your sponsor, and John was the epitome of that. So I knew John when he did those appearances, and I'd roll in there, and he was somewhat friendly, and I saw Richard Petty at stuff. I did stuff with Eddie Hill, Don Perdome. I did stuff with Larry Dixon. Larry Dixon's deals were cool. We'd go to bars and with the Miller girls, and not that he ever did anything, but it's like that was cool, So I segued away, but with Force. He's our Elvis, and I like propping him up every once in a while, and he won. And so when I won, I got into this interview, and I talked about Force and my interview and stuff. And out of respect, not out of respect, but I said I'm coming after you. You got 100. He just got 100, right? I think he just broke 100. So I'm at 11 now. So I think I'm gaining. I think I'm gaining on him or something. But I was talking about him, and then he won the race, and I thought it was kind of ironic. So we got up. They told us to go do. I have to tell you this so you understand. We were going up to the stage to do the champagne, and Force. They said, "Come on, you guys got to do the champagne now." And Forrest says, "I don't need champagne, I need oxygen." So it's like, he's funny too. I watched him cuss on stage a little bit at a banquet and back in the 90s, and it was really funny. And I laughed. He had people in stitches. But we did the spray, and I looked at him. I said, "John, don't spray me. I won't spray you." And I said to Salinas, "Hey, don't spray us. Spray the media or just spray it out there. Don't spray us." So I'm looking over, I'm spraying, and I stood in the middle. This is good for, I don't know who's listening, but it's like, if you have a brand that's the top brands on the world and on both sides, and you have a brand new brand, you shove it in the middle. You always do that. Procter & Gamble, that's the lesson of life. You go to any grocery store, you got the weakest product in the middle or at the bottom. If you want to prop them up, you got to drag them up to eye level and put them in between two powerful brands. That's what you do. So that's what I did with Pro Stock Motorcycle. When I saw there were only 3 going to be there, and obviously I knew it, but I didn't know who was going to win. When I was in that position, I instantly went to the center, and I stood there because I was not going to let either one of them push me out of the center, because that's what you do. You take the lower person and put him in between the 2 superstars. So I felt that was an advantage for the class. And that's just my marketing thoughts. In any case, I look over at Forrest, and he's kind of spraying it and not spraying it when he's not supposed. And then Salinas is spraying me. I'm like, "Hey man, what the hell?" He says, "I didn't make that pack with you." So I took my bottle and I poured it. I what do they call that? Horse collar. I horse collared him, and I put the champagne down the back of his fire suit, and I drenched his butt good. and thank God it wasn't Hagen. I would have thought twice if it was Hagen or Alexis. I wouldn't have done that to Alexis. But anyway, had a lot of fun. So we were laughing about that, and John brought his wife Lori up to the stage, and he wanted to take a picture with Lori. And I, as corny as you think Force may be sometimes, I mean, he does the right stuff a lot of times. And so he brought Lori up there and he took a picture, and I'm like, "Hey man, that's a good idea." So I brought my whole 472 free crew people up there, and we all stood up there and took a picture. And Forrest come over and he was bowing to us on the ground. That's badass, man. That's just cool stuff. I'll remember that. And if you watch the Fox broadcast, they're interviewing somebody, and you can see that Forrest is bowing. So anyway, I was telling him how cool that was in the press room. I was doing my talking about the win, and Force is there listening to me. I'm like, man, Force is listening to me, and and I'm telling some corny jokes or dumb stuff or whatever it is. And my batteries almost burnt the bike to the ground. Barry found it right before the finals. We should have never won that. Well, let me see. How do you say that? Well, we had lots of problems even after qualifying, and we're going to fix them all. We're going to have a good bike. We're going to have a better bike this year. But we, James found an oil leak before the final, and as they fixed the oil leak right before they put it on, my buddy Barry, he saw the battery smoking, so it was going to burn to the ground. So we got really, really lucky in the final. In any case, Forrest is very, very kind, and I've had meetings with him. He's very businesslike, and he's very forthwith with information. So when I have a chance to talk to him, I crack some jokes, and it's funny. He'll laugh at some of them, so it's I laugh at his, whether they're funny or not, But he has taught me some good stuff. So I just get a chance to interact with him, and it's an honor. It really is.
Well, Steve, look, it's been great to have you on the show once again. Thank you for being Steve Johnson. It's definitely enjoyable. My last question for you. You have the points lead now once again. Last year, you had your shot and did not quite capitalize fully to win the championship. What did you learn from that experience, and what have you implemented since then that you think is going to be the difference so you can nab a championship this year?
Well, it's when you're dealing with a really small brain, it takes a lot to impregnate that, or not, that you need to cut that. I didn't say that. You need to do something that really makes an impression on that brain. God, I don't know where that came from. Can you rewind the tape or something? Does it rewind? Okay. Hi. Hey, how you doing? Well, I'd like to answer that question. So I have a small brain, and it takes a lot to create some retention. That's a fancy word that I learned from my buddy George Ahrens. But as you're trying to educate young people about skilled trades and how valuable they are in our society, those special things need to be retained in your brain. And I learned a ton last year when Angie got on the SEMA show, and she says, "We're going to do whatever it takes to win." And then she looked into the camera and says, "Whatever it takes." And I was like, well, what the heck does that mean? I mean, I was like, are they going to put some kind of detonation device under my bike if we're leading the points or something? So I thought that was aggressive. So I'm not the only one that's aggressive. Girls can be aggressive too. So, but I did learn a lot, and I felt horrible letting down Larry Dixon. He spent a lot of money coming to each one of the races and helping me, trying to get my head glued together. And my buddy at Superior Machine, Chris Dalton, man, him and Glenn Dalton, they do such an incredible job for us making parts. We have some really, really cool. We don't have 25 machines like Austin told me that Force has, but Chris Dalton's got 25 machines, so I just need to figure out cool stuff to make it. And the MacRack people, I felt like I let them down a little bit. The Sean and Pam, they really wanted the championship, and I just I wasn't in the right state. I was so proud and so happy to be there. I didn't bring the gusto or whatever that may be. Kenny Brady and Robin Brady, they wanted to win the championship really bad. And Slick 50, gosh, I've been trying to do something for Slick 50 for 30 years. It's like you got to do something. And my buddy Bob Button, he talks about his employees and how methodical they are and how much the company couldn't survive without them. And if I'm the leader of the company and I can't do good, how do you expect the employees to do good? So I learned that when you have the light on, you need to make sure it shines. You need to let everybody see how well it shines, and you need to make sure that need to make sure that it shines all the way to the finish line. And I think I'm going to remember that. So cut good lights. Jeff Perella keeps telling me cut good lights. And my buddy Rusty out there, Rusty Gill, he tells me all the time about cutting lights. And my buddy Eddie. So I everything that I got, everything that I learned last year, it's still right here. I promise it's still right here. I love this hat. We got this a few days ago, but underneath that hat is still some memory and some knowledge, and I hope to use it this year. Did I answer that? Was it a fair answer?
Fair.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, and that's what it's all about, Steve. And like you said, you're yourself. You've watched, NASCAR built their stuff up and built their brand. And what you're doing is putting pro stock motorcycle on the map, and people are talking about it. There's been more articles, I think, in the last few days, weeks, about the class and what's going on. And if that's what it takes to, I guess, promote it, I think you're doing it, in your own fashion, in your own way. And I mean, what you guys are doing in the dyno room and what you guys are doing with the bike is obviously paying off. You're coming back to back-to-back wins, and you're having fun doing it. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
I told somebody if I had 10, I was in my little tiny engine room. It's 18 by 12, I think. And my shop's 10,000 square feet. So it's not anything big by any means, but I spent more time in that room. And I told somebody, I was just so happy. I was so grateful. If I had $10 million, I wouldn't have said this a long time ago, but I was like, this is what I would be doing. I may be on the phone ordering more parts. Hey, call Victory and ask for some more valves or APE for some parts or something like that. But it's like Vance and Hines makes some incredible crankshafts, and even though I have so much respect for the Hines, Eddie, I'm just trying to be a vendor to get some parts. I'm like, hey, brother, man, cut me some slack, man. How about a discount every once in a while? It's like, kick me some, maybe I need to put glitter on my or whatever. But and Karen, how about Karen Stouffer? We didn't say anything about Karen Stouffer. She is 1 point behind us. How about the ride that she rode? If anybody says that girls can't hang, she is bad to the bone. Did you see her hang on to that motorcycle? And Gianna's coming back. She is bad. When she crashed, and it wasn't her fault at all, I sent her, just kind of as some fun, I sent her some, I cut a whole bunch of sticks of welding rod to weld her bike back together, and I sent her some A&D ointment, and I think I sent her some candy and stuff like that. And, she's all broken up, and I was just trying to warm her spirits and stuff. That girl's bad to the bone. So we have such a cool class. I'm just trying to do my part to promote it. Chris Bostic is just broke 2 engines. My heart goes out to him, and Ryan Naylor's out there, and Mark. We have such a cool class right now. It's arguably the best ever. Dave Schultz would be proud. John Myers would be proud. Corey Reed and Corey Reed crashed. Are you kidding me? His foot went this way. His leg went this way. Oh my God. He's gonna be coming back real soon. So Joey Gladstone is tough as nails. Come over and said congratulations, which I was blown away by. I want to be that good a sport, but I think I'm getting jaded and old, where I'm just mad. If we don't do good, and I always make mistakes, oh God, or I used to make mistakes. But we have a great class, and we race in front of a fantastic organization, and we are proud to be able to race with the fuel cars and the pro stock cars. Greg Anderson was there today testing. I'm like, are you kidding me? Really? That guy will wear it out, and just very, very blessed and very fortunate to be on your show. And thank you guys for supporting drag racing.
Thank you, Steve. Keep up the good work, and we look forward to seeing you at the track the next time we get the opportunity to see the NHRA Pro Stock motorcycle guys and gals out there ripping down the drag strip. Thank you for your time, man.
This is as much glitter as I can put. I got some glitter right here. It's a rhinestone. Yeah, rhinestone. See you guys.
Take care, Steve. Take care, man.
There's never a dull moment with that guy. Never.
No, there's not. There's not. He is a treasure to the National Hot Rod Association, even beyond his class. Just look, whether you agree with Steve Johnson, whether you like what he says or not, the fact is the man wheeled Pro Stock Motorcycle to be like the top stories past this weekend on a lot of the drag racing media outlets that you can go to, whatever.com it is, and you can see articles on competitionplus.com that were written. And from what he said, goes to show you, open your mouth a little bit and let come out what may. Glitter and jack wagons and all.
Man, yeah, Lee. I mean, if your abs don't hurt or if your cheeks aren't rosy red from sitting there and laughing on just having, and that's how he is. I mean, whether it's, you know, a facade or whatever it may be to help promote his class, he's doing exactly that. Like you said, there's been more articles about Pro Stock motorcycle than there's been in a while. So, I mean, and when you win 2 back-to-back, I mean, maybe you can talk a little bit of smack, but we will see. Like you said, Matt's out there testing. Matt and Angie, you know, talked with them here this weekend, and they're doing a great job in testing and trying to figure things out. And we'll see what this all looks like when it all matters, right? At the end of the year, who's going to be holding that championship and have that championship belt. So, I mean, that's what we all do it for, is to do that. Lee, what else? I mean, we're at the end of the show. We thank you guys that have stuck around and witnessed it all. But what else do you want to talk about?
Yes, man, we are here toward the end of the show. We had 2 great guests tonight. I want to say Funny Car Chaos at Pine Valley for that grand reopening was a success. Some great funny car action happened there in East Texas. We will go to West Texas in 2-3 weeks' time at Odessa, Texas. We will be there with Funny Car Chaos. So if you're in the West Texas area, or you're willing to take a vacation or you make a road trip like I do to all these events, then see us in West Texas, Funny Car Chaos, and learn what the chaos is all about. PDRA, congratulations to the winners, Halsey, Tutterow, Placino, and Amber Franklin, carrying on a family tradition in 632.
Lee, that is 2 weekends in a row we have back-to-back all female final rounds. 2 weeks in a row. We go from NHRA, Camry and the Big E, Erica Enders, Double E, and then we go to PDRA and Amber Franklin gets away with a win. So great time to be alive and in motorsports history with the women stepping up and saying, hey, you know what, guys, we're going to put you on the trailer and we're going to have our show.
Right. And look, that's one of the beautiful things about drag racing is there has been such diversity, and no matter what it is, from the vehicles to the people involved, which, come to think of it, like I'm starting to see it less and less, but for all of you out there that still want to chime in with things such as just brilliant comments like 4 wide sucks. Is that really all you come up with?
I think when it comes to 4 wide, a lot of people just don't understand it, right? There's a lot going on. It's hard to watch 4 cars at one time.
Yes.
Does it make the show go by quicker? Yes, it does. You're in and out of there. I mean, you got to think that's 2 less rounds, that you got to watch. So, I mean, it's one of those things that people are nitpick. We're used to watching 2 cars go down a track. It's something different. And I honestly think that's why some of the races you get, that's why it's cool for Charlotte and Vegas to have 2 races a year. You have people that come straight for 4 wide, and then you have people that come just for NHRA drag racing. So, I mean, it's a give and a take no matter what. But we're always gonna have a hate. There, if you're doing something right, if you have a hater, you ain't doing something right if you ain't got no hater. I mean, my grandma told me that years ago before she passed away, and I never really understood it when I was younger. I used to hear her say it, and I get it. I mean, and that's the beauty of our sport. That's the beauty of the place we live in. That everyone is in somewhat entitled to their own opinion. Whether you say that opinion out loud sometimes, like you and I get the chance to do for almost 2 hours, or I would say in this case maybe about an hour, because the second hour I think Steve talked more than we did. But but you know what I mean? Like everyone has their own opinion, and some people just don't like it, and that's fine.
Right. No, you can have your opinion, but I feel like there are some out there, they don't say anything about drag racing until 4 Wide comes up and they have saved somewhere because they can't remember and develop any other sentence. 4 Wide sucks. It's very fascinating to me. It's very fascinating.
To each their own.
Yes. And if that's the case, you can have that opinion, but we're folks, let's say you do not like 4 Wide. Great. We've heard you over and over, and 4 Wide's not going anywhere anytime soon. How many years have we had it? Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. I mean, the facilities are there. I hope they don't add any more lanes, because that would just be a melee. That'd be confusing. But I mean, it's here. You're gonna have your people that don't like it, and if you don't like it, that's fine. You're not gonna like everything in life. But people are gonna say what they want to say, Lee.
That is true. They are. Get the facts. Try to, at least. Like there's this article floating around right now, Sam. I think you can go see it on Motor Biscuit. And it really has this like alarming call on all the tracks closing. And there are a lot of tracks that are closing, but in this article, it didn't give anything of the positives of the sport, that there are actually tracks opening. It's just that we've had high profile tracks that have closed lately. There are tracks opening. There are tracks right now having improvements made to them to possibly have a national event come in. And also within this article of calling the alarm to like every drag strip closing potentially, they made the statement that Phoenix, Arizona's last drag strip closing, like it's not Arizona's last drag strip. What about Tucson? There's other drag strips in the state of Arizona. Not every track holds a national event. So be careful what you read, but I'm going to tell you where you do not have to be careful what you read, because you know it's going to give you the truth each and every time. And, well, that's the articles on competitionplus.com. Bobby Bennett, Darren Williams Jr., Tracy, so many others, Susan Wade. They do a stellar job at compplus.com. Get there, folks.
That's right, Lee. I mean, there's going to be more. The races are going to continue, and we're going to still hopefully be here to yak it up, to talk about it all. And I like this comment right here. These two right here. If you don't like 4 Wide, think about it this way. Every pass, there's 3 losers. That's 2 more losers than there would be in just 2 race cars going down the track. Take the apples with the oranges. And I think this is very true. Even when I was skeptical for 4 Wide, until you see it in person, you'll never understand it. I think that's very true.
I think it amplifies what almost any drag racing fan actually tells anyone they may encounter who has not been to a drag race, and that is, oh, you got to experience it. We always say that, oh, TV does not do drag racing justice. It doesn't in any way, shape,
and it
or fashion.
It doesn't. TV does not do 4 Wide justice either.
No. No. The optics of 4 wide on TV, yes, I will say that I don't know what different camera angle can be brought up or what adjustments they can make, but it is very challenging to follow along on TV with
because you see the cars, you see the cars leave, and then they go to either the top end camera or they go to a lower on the surface camera, and it's hard to judge that. But I can honestly say, like, sitting up in those stands, and I took a bunch of pictures that I'm going to upload here of just having 4 cars. Like, it's cool to capture. You're trying to capture one burnout after someone else already burned out, and now you've got 4 different cars in different places on the track that have all done a burnout. And there's a different dynamic, and you have to be there to experience it.
Right. And look, I will say it is one of the most beautiful optics when you get 4 funny cars, 4 pro stocks, or 4 pro stock motorcycles, or 4 top fuel dragsters, and they're all in frame coming by you in unison. Oh, that is pretty. I will say it is pretty cool.
Matt Hagan posted a picture on his social media here this week, and it kind of floated around, but there was 4, I don't know if they were funny cars or 4 top fuel cars sitting there, and then they had the whole fleet of the NASCAR, and it was like, these 4 cars make more horsepower.
Yes.
And I mean, and that's cool to see, like, hey, we're able to throw a little bit of shade. As a new kid, I'm trying to keep you guys young and hip. We're able to throw a little bit of shade on NASCAR, because NASCAR has been this big dynamic feature of motorsport, and now we're able to mix this communication and go back and forth, and that's what we need in motorsport.
Definitely. Yes, it's a very funny argument. I've got someone that commented on one of my videos on my YouTube channel today, actually, and I'm going to respond to him afterwards, talking about the popularity of IndyCar concerned to NHRA drag racing. And one, I really don't care which one is more popular. And I don't even know why this particular comment came on this particular video, because there's no discussion about it whatsoever. But we just need to continue making drag racing the best that it can and keep moving that forward. And if that's 4 wides, well, great. Let's do that.
We've got to make drag racing great again. Yeah.
Overall, I think where we are in the sport right now, a lot of positives. And don't just be so focused on NHRA. Too often, that's what people want to be focused on. Look, you go beyond and see what's happening in the PDRA right now. They had probably their best year ever last year, and already this year it looks like they're going to outperform what they had last year. You look at the rise of popularity of Funny Car Chaos and the demand that it has on the East Coast and elsewhere, to see another event and that growing series. Drag racing is in, I think, a great place. Is it in a changing place? Is it evolving? Is it changing? Certainly. Change can be scary, but change avails the opportunity for progress.
The thing I'm worried about, Lee, and I had a discussion with a pretty influential person in the drag racing world here this weekend. We need to see the numbers change. We need to see more rookies come into our sport. So I'm hoping with the success that a lot of people are having right now in the PDRA market or in different classes that are in our sportsman categories, I hope that we see a big number of the jump. We're starting to see a big number in the junior classes that, move up into, the different sportsman ranks. But now I hope that we are able to, post-COVID and post-pandemic, get more marketing partners and sponsorships with YouTube, and everything that we're doing here is to now get that change of these people, this younger generation, our generation, into these into the NHRA circuit and get more rookies in there. I was, like I said, having this conversation with this person, and it's like this year, I think our numbers are really down for rookie drivers. I mean, rookie competitors. So I really just hope that we can get this push and this next wave of drivers into the sport to continue to carry this great tradition that we've got going on.
Sam, look, great to host a show with you. I've reached the limits. Need to turn off the track, get back in the pits, and turn around for another day and another show. I've got Chaos Live tomorrow night, my own show Thursday. We might just have some influential people in drag racing that just purchased a track on my show Thursday night. Maybe.
I wonder who that could be. But yes, no, Lee, I understand it. Lee, you had me worried. I'm going to say this out loud. You had me worried. You weren't answering your phone. I didn't see you on Sunday. I was worried about you, man. I was worried about you.
I was driving. I was in the groove, man.
It don't matter. You're in the groove. I like what you did there.
I'll tell you what happened.
Like what you did.
I saw this flash driving eastbound, and I said to myself, "Oh no, the Russians finally did it. This is it." And nothing came of it. And then I saw later it was the Doug Foley fireball in round 1 that I saw all the way in East Texas.
Ouch. I feel the heat from that. I felt it at the starting line. It wasn't as big as we all thought it was, but standing at the starting line, it looked pretty big. That's all I'm gonna say there. But yeah, man, it's been a great show. Lee, you've got a lot going on with your media stuff, so I totally understand it. But like I said, it's always nice to be on this show on Competition Plus. Thanks to Weldon Pump, Holly, Competition Plus, for all that they do for us. Let us yak it up for over 2 hours about drag racing and our opinions. Thank you guys out there that have liked, shared, commented, subscribed, whatever you have done, whatever you've done to help Lee and I out, liking and commenting on our stuff and supporting us. We truly appreciate it. But Lee, man, it's been a great episode. I don't know about you. You said you're ready to go, so I'm going to let you exit first, and I'll close down the show, and you can smash your loud pedal, but just don't break off your clutch pedal.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a fast-paced recap of the 2022 Circle K NHRA 4Y Nationals from ZMAX Dragway in Charlotte, North Carolina, brought to you by Competition Plus. In Nitro Funny Car, 16-time world champion John the Brute Force will put on a dominating performance, qualifying number 1, setting low ET and top speed at over 335 miles per hour, en route to his 155th career national event win and first of the year. In Pro Stock Motorcycle, despite all the obstacles faced throughout the weekend, Steve Johnson from the number 2 qualifying position would reset the record books in eliminations, laying down a track record elapsed time at 6.712 seconds at over 201 miles per hour in the semifinals, before snatching his second consecutive win of the year in the final round and taking the points lead heading into the next race in Richmond, Virginia. And finally, in Top Fuel Eliminator, Mike Salinas aboard the Pep Boys Scrappers Racing Top Fuel Dragster would pick up win number 2 in the year and 5th of his career, as he would survive a wild day in Top Fuel and move into second place in the points, just 17 points behind leader Brittany Force. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a special fast-paced recap of the 2022 Circle K NHRA 4Y Nationals from ZMAX Dragway in Charlotte, North Carolina, brought to you by Competition Plus.
Thank you, America. That's the greatest sponsor in the world.
Congratulations,
Woo!
Steve.